Tinsel, giving you ghost advice for happy living. So if your house has ghosts that are not nice to you, they make you anxious, they make you rearrange your furniture all the time, they are causing you to have horrible nightmares of death and murder all the time, you can get rid of those ghosts with 3 simple tools that I'll explain to you today. Tip 1 is bells. Every time you ring one of these tiny bells, it clears the air and energy in your apartment. And you have to make sure to say, "Leave this place, bad ghosts. Leave this place." Another technique is the classic pan and wooden utensil. And you just bang it really loud through your house. I am so smart. SMRT. I am so smart. SMRT. And then you are clearing bad ghosts out of your house. The third trick to getting bad ghosts out of your house is by singing them a song like this. Hello, ghosts in my house. I only want the good ones. I don't want the bad ones. Please, you're welcome to stay in my house if you are a nice ghost. If you are a nice ghost, you can stay. But if you're a mean ghost, you have to leave. Good ghosts can stay. Lastly, you have to remember, if you are living in an apartment or home and you want it to be filled with good ghosts and good energy, you have to not be a total piece of shit. You have to be nice to your house and be nice to the people that come into it and treat yourself nice too. And then you'll fill your house with really good ghosts and good vibes all around. This advice is not meant to get all ghosts out of your house because some ghosts are really, really good. And they've also lived there a lot longer than you, so that wouldn't really be nice to kick them out if they're not doing anything bad. So remember, every time you're doing one of these little cleaning activities, whether it's ringing your bell or hitting the pan with a wooden spoon or singing your songs or sweeping your floors or whatever you do to make sure your apartment feels good, there's no reason to try and get rid of all those little nice floaters that are just trying to chillax in your apartment and aren't hurting you or anybody around you. Well, that's my ghost advice for this week. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy our ghost stories. Welcome to QuaranTV Repeat YouTube Edition Ghost Stories with Andy Moon.
Thanks for having me back.
Of course. We're redoing our ghost episode because it is the best one, and Instagram Live deletes it after 24 hours, so we're redoing it.
If this is going on YouTube, are we not cursing? Is that part of it?
Is that a thing on YouTube?
I think that, I don't know.
I mean, my other video has a curse word in the title.
Then yeah, I think it's okay.
Okay, great. Well, the reason I wanted you to come talk about ghosts is because you have really good ghost stories, real ghost stories of things that you've experienced. And I love hearing them because I love ghost stories.
Sick. Yeah, they're spooky. They're spooky stories.
I know you have a lot of really, really scary stories. And I don't know why, I just feel like hearing people's experiences, like people's real experiences with ghosts, is like the most interesting and enthralling stories that I can hear personally. It's my favorite ones.
Sorry, you cut out for a second.
Oh, I cut out. Oh yeah. I feel like that's just gonna happen, and you know, we'll just figure it out. Okay,
Cool.
so here is question 1. And maybe you even don't even remember, but do you remember the first time that you saw a ghost?
Um, I can't remember the exact first time I saw one, but I definitely felt and heard them long before I like physically saw one. It was definitely when I was a kid. But I think the first experience I can remember is it's not seeing them, but hearing like children's laughter coming from my closet in my childhood home because my mom collected porcelain dolls and probably had like a couple dozen porcelain dolls just stacked up in this closet, and I would hear them giggle. And then sometime after that, I started dealing with these weird, like, authoritative parental spirits in the same space. So I feel like those two things were tied together somehow.
Like it was real kids and their parents possessing the dolls, or do you think that like if there's just child spirits around, then like grown-up spirits are going to flock just so they have somebody to boss around?
I could see the latter of that being like the case, but I just think in the way that it felt in that house that all the kids are always like giggling in this one specific room. The other people are kind of like free floating around this house, that there were people who existed there before. And I also, usually when there's like more than one type of spirit in a space, and you get like a sense of uh like a family unit or like a couple or whatever, I just kind of assume that they all existed in the same time frame. But maybe that's something I should like think about more in the future. They could have been like some other kids that were just there, and then years later like the parent ghost could have come. So
Yeah, it's hard because it's not easy to just like ask them, I guess.
I feel like it's tricky to ask them. It gets spooky. That's when it starts to get spooky, when you like actually communicate until you get used to it, you know.
Yeah, and then it's just like, am I really gonna believe what you're saying to me? Like, it's hard to trust people. How
Yeah,
are you supposed to trust ghosts? You can't even look at them in the eyes.
I feel like some you can. If they want you to, they'll make you.
Oh no! I've never looked
Yeah,
at a ghost in the eyes, I don't think.
I definitely have not either, but I feel like if a spirit wanted me to look them in the eyes, they would definitely just like, you know, make themselves very visible. But I feel like for a spirit to make you look them in the eyes, some serious shit has to be going on, you know.
Yeah, I don't want that. Maybe someday, but I don't. I think I would get really scared.
Yeah. It would depend on the spirit for me. Like if it was a relative that I fucked with or something like that, I would be way more chill about it than if it was a strange spirit I'd never encountered before.
Yeah. I think if my grandma came, well, it's like, it's because sometimes I feel like I've seen my grandma in dreams and we've spoken to each other that way, but I feel like it's so much different talking to ghosts and spirits and stuff in your dreams versus in your waking life. It's just
Yeah.
different.
I feel like you can communicate so much more in your dreams than in your. I feel like you're on like a more level playing field with them. So you can actually interact in a way that's more tangible.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, like we said last time we did this, we definitely need to do a video about
Dreams
dreams
episode, yes.
because I have so many thoughts and also questions about dreams just in terms, I don't know, it really does feel like it just kind of like very real in between space, like the waiting
Yeah,
room.
totally. Everyone's there. Everyone's trying to figure shit out. No, we definitely need to talk about dreams because they get so loopy. I had some really fucking weird dreams last night, actually, but we can talk about that another time.
Do you want to give me a hint of what your dreams was?
It was so. I have these like weird. I talked about this before too, like weird lucid dreams. where sometimes I end up like making myself go on journeys through different places. And like there was a part where I was threatening like a serial killer and getting on this bus with like the cast of Saved by the Bell. It was so fucking
Not
bizarre,
Zach Morris.
dude. Yeah. Zach Morris was definitely there being an asshole. So
Screech?
Screech actually wasn't there. He was not present. Maybe because
That
I
means,
liked him the least.
yeah, he sucks. That dude definitely sucks.
Yeah,
Okay,
a
yeah,
lot
can't
of
wait to hear
them.
that.
But yeah.
Really? Okay. Off topic, but yeah, definitely fuck Screech. Dustin, whatever his name is or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, next question is
Uh-huh.
how would you describe a ghost? Like what you see when you see a ghost?
So I think seeing ghosts, the ghosts I've seen have either been like figures of people that look like they have a blur filter over them when they're like at their clearest. And I think what I typically will see is like the shadow of a person, but the shadows can also not be a typical like dark shadow. And I don't think that seeing like a dark shadow is necessarily like indicative of a spirit being negative or anything like that. But I've also seen some spirits that are basically silhouetted like technicolor light things that have like a
Right.
nebulous human form. So yeah. But
That's
more than
so
that, I feel like
wild.
yeah, it was really, but you know, I looked into it after I saw that, and a lot of other people that I've talked to are like, I've definitely seen them as these like technicolor beings instead of like the typical shadow person. So yeah.
Wow.
What about you?
I feel like for me, it's like, okay, I think the way, like, it's like heat coming off of the road, you know?
I gotcha.
Those like
Yeah.
little the heat waves. Like, I, I mean, I don't feel like I've ever seen anything like super clear. Or if I have, it's been really out of the corner of my eye. And mostly
Yeah,
for that,
exactly.
it's like animals. So not never like full people, but like in my apartment there was cat hoarders in here before me, and there was like a ton of cats in
Uh-huh.
here and like a ton of cats that died. So I feel like a lot of times I'll like see a cat out of the corner of my eye and there won't be a cat there, or just anything
Oh,
like, I know, like something like out of the corner of my eye that I like turn and look for and then it's not there.
yeah.
Yeah. Which is a
That's
fun experience, honestly.
spooky. Yeah. I know we've talked about seeing animal ghosts too. We should try to figure out what animal ghosts are, like why they're around that way or what's going on with them.
Well, okay, yeah. So we can talk about our ghost dog. Well, really your ghost dog experience if you want to.
Sure.
That's a cool
Um,
story.
so God, I feel like I've told you this so many times, but
I love it. It's my fave. It's one of my fave stories. It's so scary and good.
it's spooky, but it's also kind of like nice. It's weird. Anyway, when me and Wes were living at this house uptown, um, like I'd been seeing this dog that was like my dog's doppelganger for a while, and I would see it like go into my closet, and then my actual dog would like Dee Dee would follow it into the closet. And there's one day when me and Wes and Dee Dee were all laying in bed in my room, and Wes was like, "Oh, I swear I just saw Dee Dee go in your closet." And I like turned over and I was like, "No, Dee Dee's right here." And then like a little bit after that, I had this dream where me and Dee Dee were sitting on my bed in that house, and I like looked up at the doorway, and there was his little doppelganger dog, but it was like clearly exactly the same as him, staring at us super still. Then I looked back at Dee Dee and was like, "Don't go over there. We don't know what's going on." And then I looked back and there's like dog double that size standing on top of the smaller DD. And I turn back to him again. I'm just like, don't go over there. I don't know what that is. And then I turn back and there's like a Clifford-sized DD with its snoot like coming out of the door frame.
That sounds kind of cute, really, though.
It was cute, but also I was like, I don't know who these things are. Like, it's
so was there
me out,
3 of them at the end? Was there 3 or was
there were 3 at the end, and that's when Dee Dee, my dog in my dream and in real life, like took off towards them.
Dee Dee doesn't listen.
No, he does not. He's such a little bad puffer.
So what happened when he went over there?
You know, okay, so this is weird, and I haven't really talked as much about this. I saw that dog less after I had that dream of him like going over to the group of dogs, which is like really interesting because eventually it stopped.
Maybe the dog just was like trying to meet Dee Dee.
Yeah, true. It may have been
one message.
He would still go into the closet though, which was interesting. And he goes into my closet here a lot too, but he didn't used to do that. So that's why
why are closets so creepy?
I don't know.
Is it because they're just so like spooky. Little, you know, this is okay, so here's some things that I've really noticed about my own haunted apartment, okay? Is the areas that don't get stuff moved around in them a lot are where
they hang out.
Yeah, that's where they gather. So like, you know, my little storage area, like, I mean, I had a door in my bedroom that went into basically like a storage hallway that was never used, and recently I like opened it up, and I just remember like as soon as I opened the door and started moving stuff around, like shit was like it was clearly like a excuse me, like,
yeah,
what are you doing?
I live here.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like too, like there's a specific room in my apartment, like the room that is my studio now, that always had really, it just never felt good. And also I was constantly moving the furniture around in there, like without even a reason. So I feel like it was kind of my own subconscious or whatever, you know, whoever's helping me along, just like trying to get me to like keep rearranging the furniture to like get those fuckers out, whoever they were, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess that's why closets could be a good gathering area for ghosts, because so many people, definitely myself included, just shove shit in there and never look at it again.
Yeah. I mean, I open mine, like mine is also usually open, but even still, like when I do close it, it just feels kind of tense, and I'm like, okay, I'll leave it cracked for you. Like, I'm not going to shut you in here. I don't know what's up, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's like why under beds too, I feel like are like a very legitimate like spooky hotspot, because like, ooh, now I'm gonna have to like sweep under my bed before I go to sleep tonight for real, just to make sure out of there. I mean, Misha Barton in this. Sorry.
Oh my god, yeah.
I'm just gonna talk about Misha Barton in The Sixth Sense, like always. It's like childhood trauma.
So spooky.
Yeah.
I keep my beds on the floor, so I don't have to worry about that. I just put like the box spring and mattress on the floor. I know that people think that's like whatever, but fuck bed frames, honestly. I'm good.
I mean, yeah, I only have one because I want to shove shit under my bed, you know?
Fair. Yeah.
But yeah, at what cost?
I don't want any mysterious things under there.
I know. I really am kind of like, do I need that right now, actually? Like, can I? Yeah, there's so many reasons that having your bed on the floor just like feels better. And yeah, just like taking away, you know, and it's not like I want to take away all spots for ghosts, because like I definitely think there's really good ghosts in my apartment, or at least benevolent ghosts, you know?
You want to leave space for them. I think it's disrespectful to be like, you cannot be here no matter what. But
yeah, especially because it's like, it's not my house, you know?
Figuring out how to be like the bouncer to what's fucking with your like spirit right now is important. So.
Yeah. There's ways.
There's ways.
Okay, so you said that when you were a kid in your house that there was little spooky doll ghosts. Did you have other ghosts in your childhood that you interacted with?
The like weird grown ghosts that were there that spooked me out, that I told you were like weird parental authoritative figures, and I told you about other people in my family experiencing that too, which is fucking bizarre. And I didn't tell you this before, but when I was at that house as a kid, I literally had nightmares like for a really long time, and I couldn't be by myself in certain rooms and shit like that. And one of the nightmares I had was like me as the shadow man doing like fucked up things to my family, and I would wake up screaming and crying from them. I forgot to mention this when we recorded this before, but yeah, I would like wake up freaking out because in these dreams I would be like basically first person as this like shadow hand with a knife like going and menacing my family.
Dang.
And I would like, it would be alarming if, you know, I woke up and was like but I was clearly like very traumatized by this. And I would like just have to wake up my mom and be like, oh my god, no, I dreamed that, like I was that dude again. And of course it's like creepy for her too, but I have a feeling
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, that has to be like frightening on many levels. But I forgot, she did a bunch of stuff to like help me with my dreams as a kid, but that I think was also a result of living in that house. So
and your niece lives in that house now?
Yes, she lives in that house now with my sister. And I told you about how my mom said they live in like a 1-bedroom shotgun house, so it's really tiny. My mom was talking about how one time she was watching her, and she and my niece were like in my sibling's bedroom, which has like a small hallway with no doors, which is adjacent to my niece's like playroom. And she said from the playroom she heard like all of my niece's toys start going off, and that when like, I don't know if this is still the case now, but for a long time when they would put my niece to bed and go to turn off the lights, she'd be like, don't turn off the lights, that's when the mommies and daddies come. And I'm like, have been wondering if those are the same like older spirits that I experienced in that house. Yeah, which is also creepy for a kid to say, because, you know, that's like a thing of comfort for them usually, well, hopefully. So it's like weird to me that she is like perceiving them as like frightening or doesn't want them to come around. Yeah.
Damn. That's scary.
Spooky.
Haunted fucking house.
A very haunted house. It's from like the 1700s. So
do you know anything about any of the people that lived in it before you?
No, I don't. I want to look it up, but you have to pay for all those like record sites a lot of the time if you want to go back to like a certain point.
If this show ever makes money, all the first money I make, I'll put into researching your houses.
Please do. Yeah,
that's a
I want to know what happened.
On air pledge.
You got a pinky promise. Bing. All right.
Okay. It's official.
It's official.
Okay. So, Andy, you used to work at a esoteric store. Talk about your experience with the ghosties in there.
So there was one ghost in particular, or the only ghost I really ever necessarily experienced there, who I'd seen a couple of times, and he'd like zip and zoom around the front area and like they had like curtained doors through like a tarot reading room and then the back office. He'd like zoom through there really fast.
Not zoom.
Finally He would. Okay, so like he would just hang out by the. It would be kind of funny sometimes, yeah, because he would hang out by this like herb shelf and this armoire, and then all of a sudden he'd go like, pew, and like shoot into a different room. He would definitely, yeah, just like go through really fast. But yeah, I saw him like a good few times until finally I didn't want to be the person at the store that was like, oh my god, I see ghosts. So finally I like discreetly brought it up to one of my bosses, and he was like, oh yeah, that dude, we've all seen him, like blah 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 blah. And we all had like the same idea of what he looked like. We'd all seen him in kind of like the same general form. And he was like a 1930s or 20s dude with like a little straw hat and suspenders, and like really cute, honestly.
I bet. A little ghost with the zoomies.
Like,
he sounds adorable.
Yes. With zoomies.
Like a puppy.
But yeah, so I like talked to him about it, to my like manager about it, and he was saying how when they opened the store, they put up all these security cameras, and apparently they would come back in the morning, and these like very secure security cameras would be facing like different directions out from where they would be looking into the store. So not in a way where they would like swing and fall down because they weren't secured enough, like they'd be going this way instead or something. He said finally he like just screwed them hard into place and had to like break these brackets to make sure that they wouldn't move. And he also told me that when they first opened, before they put like wards around the building, there were these doors with windows inside of them, and you'd have to unlatch the window in the store and you could swing it out, but they would latch all of them shut, and they'd come in, excuse me, and they'd push them, and the windows would all be unlocked the next day. And then they put up boards around the building, and then that stopped happening. But yeah.
But
that ghost was pretty chill.
But the one ghost was still there after they put the wards up?
Yeah, he was still in there. And I think that they were saying that this armoire was like built by one of the first like free people of color carpenters in New Orleans. And I'm not sure if it was like his ghost in this armoire or if the ghost predated the armoire being in the building. But he was just chilling in there, and he was nice.
He sounds like a great guy.
Yeah, he was a great dude. There was also, though, I also didn't mention this one before. You'd been in there before. You saw like the reading room and all of that. Had you ever gone into the bathroom there?
No. Oh, yes. Yeah, the bathroom was right inside the reading room.
Yes. So right above that bathroom door, there was like a little storage closet. Sorry. They're so spooky, but there was a little storage closet. And whenever that would be cracked open, it was like pitch black in there all the time. And it would really freak me out.
I wouldn't like that
I did not like it. And I never like touched it or anything or like tried to close it if it was open. But my manager, the one who told me about like the cameras and everything, also showed me a picture. I don't think I've ever told you this part before too, but he climbed up in there, and there was like that post that ran through the bathroom. It actually came from the story above it, and he took pictures of the post that was in there, and it was like scorched and like carved in a bunch of shit. Yeah, there were like a bunch, not like specific carvings, but it was like scratched and scorched.
Yikes!
It was really freaky.
Like somebody was up there scratching it in the. Oh.
Yeah, and it was like burnt. It was like super burned, like as if there was a fire just in that room. It was fucking weird. Yeah.
Gosh, that's so scary and horrible.
Yeah, but yeah, I never touched that closet.
This is a question I'm just thinking of off the top of my head, but have you ever done any of the French Quarter ghost tours?
Actually, yeah, I did do one with my mom last year because she got like a free ticket to one.
What'd you think?
It was okay, I suppose. It was more like a tour of death and like just talking about like yeah, just talking about like catastrophes and murderers and stuff in the city. It was
Oh.
interesting.
I also have
Yeah.
heard that a lot of people just lie and make shit up.
Yes. I don't think this one was a lie because they did have things I'd like known to be a thing before. But really, they I don't know. It just seemed like it was goofy. They more
Yeah.
so just talked about where people died than the ghosts themselves that people see. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that's definitely different. Like, just hearing about murders is totally different than, like, who's haunting what, you know?
right.
Um,
Yeah, it was just like maybe the spirit's here because someone died here. And I'm like, well, you can say that about this entire city. Like, it's super spooky that way, you know? So,
yeah, and it's old. Like, it's a really old city, so, like, people die everywhere all the time in New
right.
Orleans.
Yes.
Okay, so now really it brings us to the wildest stories of ghosts that you have, which is
Yes.
time that you lived in that punk house.
Yeah. Weird
So,
place for a haunting.
well,
um, not, I guess not really, you know, but yeah, so I lived in this punk house for like 2.5, 3 years, like 2 years ago. And
was it
when
only two
I was,
years ago?
I moved out of there in 2017, so almost 3 years now. Yeah.
Wow, it seems like a long time ago,
Yeah.
is why I react
It
like
seems
that.
like forever ago. It seems like it was so long ago. Um, but yeah, I was living at this house. It was like a weird kind of commune house. It was a double, but like everyone just went into whatever side. There were like at this time there were probably like 15 people living in this house that was technically probably supposed to be for like I don't know, 6 people, 7 people max, whatever.
15,
Um,
yeah, that's a lot for a double shotgun.
so it's a lot of people. And there's also like a family living on this lot next door in RVs. They renovate like buses and shit. Anyway, this is like punk house stuff. But I had been living at this house with an ex of mine, and I had never really experienced anything too wild necessarily. Just like typical stuff. But there was one day when we were sitting in bed and everyone there had like loft beds, but we'd moved our bed to the ground. So I was like looking up at this loft that's maybe 8 feet off the ground, staring into the corner, and there's like a weird shadow figure. You can't see it, but like doing this like weird perched move like this and like crouch. Yes, exactly. But like hands on the ground, knees crouched, you know,
Ew,
very,
God.
very
Oh,
like,
right. Like Elle from Death Note.
yes, like Elle from Death Note, crouched in the corner, and like I can't see its face or anything, but you know how like sometimes you'll see or feel the presence of a ghost and you know that they're like looking at you, but like they don't have to use eyes to look at you, but you're like you're watching me and that's freaking me out. And
Yeah.
so they were like staring at me without staring at me. And I turned to my ex and I was like, dude, you don't see that thing up there? And they're just like, no, stop, shut up. Like, nothing's up there. And I was like, no, there's totally something up there in the corner right now. And they're just like, no, there's nothing. Like, you're freaking me out. Stop saying that. And so I left the room because I got really freaked out and went to the bathroom. And when I came back, Dee Dee, my pupper, the ghost dog pup, was standing like near where I was sitting, looking up at that corner, just like barking uncontrollably, like just like, "Arr!" And I was just like, dude, he sees it too. Like we both see this dude up here. That's fucking weird. Like there's definitely some weird spirit that's menacing out there, or else he wouldn't be freaking out like that.
Yeah, Dee Dee is
Of course,
definitely
like
a psychic dog for sure.
he really is. He's a weird one. I think he's the ghost of a friend of mine, but we can talk about that another time too. But yeah, so I was just like, no, there's definitely something up there. Dee Dee's freaking out. And then shortly after that is when I decided to build my ancestral altar in that space, because I was just like, this is fucking weird. At first, I didn't really know if I wanted to, because it's like there's a bunch of people around. Like, I don't want them touching stuff. But at that point, I was just like, I have to do this. And then a little while after that, I was in this house. Like, I was really depressed at that time too, so I was like really reclusive and didn't really talk to anyone, and just kind of made art all the time. And I was like sitting in bed alone, like making art, being sad, and I looked up, and that's when I saw a similar thing watching me, but this time it was like technicolored and like glowy. No, it's hard to explain, almost like TV static, but not really. Maybe I can like illustrate it one day, or like try to
Have you ever
animate it
seen
so
that
people
movie
can see.
Altered States?
No, what's that?
It's about this dude that does basically DMT, I think, or some kind of like psychedelic. And there's just a sequence where he's like tripping and he's kind of animated in all these different ways. So you should watch it, because maybe it reflects some of what you saw in some weird way.
Yeah, probably. I feel like doing hallucinogens and like psychedelics and shit, I know it's corny, but definitely like opens you up to certain spirits, spirit things.
Oh yeah, I can tell my mushroom story after we finished talking about your creepy house.
Yes. Oh my god, that's such an intense thing too. Okay. But yeah, so I saw this Technicolor thing, and I thought I was just freaking out, and it kind of like crawled across the loft. And right when I was like, oh, I'm just like having panic attacks, something's going on, it wrapped its like weird Technicolor hand thing around the doorknob and pulled it shut. And so I was like, the timing of that is like too good. Like, I can't, even if I'm freaking out, it's weird that right as the door swings shut is when it's like slipping down and closing it behind it. And so that was after I put up my altar. Yeah, it was very odd. But that was after I'd like done things to protect my room and stuff like that. And then like a while passed with like nothing too weird going on, at least for me. One of my roommates said that, and she like does not like talking about this, but I'm gonna talk about it. She said that when she was in this room, like the very back room of the house, back bedroom, she would hear scratching in the ceiling sometimes. And one day she heard like what sounded initially like rats or something scratching, or possums in the ceiling, and it started going in like a square shape faster and faster around her room, just like and then saw like an apparition of one of her dead loved ones coming out of the storage closet too, because fucking storage closets are creepy as shit.
Closets, man.
Yeah, dude. Especially like little upper storage closet area that no one ever thinks about.
No.
They're extra spooky. But yeah, and then my boyfriend Wes also lived there before me, like years before, and there was no bathroom door at this place because basically he said that they would hear some dude like violently throwing up in the bathroom, and people would go in there and they'd get like locked in the bathroom and shit like that.
I hate locked in the bathroom. I hate it.
Yeah. Not good. So eventually they just took the door off of the bathroom, and it stayed that way until I ended up living there like years later. And so yeah, for the creepiest time at this house, both of my other roommates that were in this space at the time on the side of the house we lived in were hanging out in this back room. I had just gotten home because I like got really anxious about something and wanted to be dropped off. So again, I thought I was like in this like weird freaking out space and blah, 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 blah. And I went to go sit with him in the back of the house. and I heard like these two ghosts yelling at each other. One was like crying and screaming, the other one was like angrily yelling. And it sounded like, it's like the best way I can ever describe it, but it sounded like if people were yelling in a car that was going by you. So you hear it like really clearly, and then it kind of like dissipates as they trail off. And it was like that, just like coming through the room, like swirling, like him yelling shit, like her yelling shit. And then there's the sound of this baby either crying or laughing, and I'm not sure what was up with that. But yeah, so I turned to them and I'm like, wow, like what the fuck is going on over there? Like, you guys don't hear all these weird noises? And they just looked really nervous, and they're like, oh yeah, lots of weird sounds coming from over there. And I was like, no one's home, because all of our roommates for once are like out of the house, which is I think why the ghosts got so loud. But they've all gone on vacation together. And I think, yeah, they're like, it's quiet now, we can do our thing. And so yeah, they're like, lots of weird sounds. And I was like, you don't hear that man screaming or that woman crying? And then my other roommate was like, or the baby laughing. And I was like, so you do hear it, because we all heard the baby laugh too. Like, you know, confirmed, absolutely, we're all hearing the same shit right now. And at the same time, in the attic, we heard like loud, it sounded like people were moving around like pianos and armoires and shit up there, but no one was there. Like, absolutely no one was there. I don't even think they had furniture up there. And at one point, my roommate's dog leaves this room and walks into the other side of the house. Like I said, like you could access everything from both sides. And she goes to get him. Also, I didn't mention, we heard like pots and pans flying around. Right. So it would have been like noticeable if someone was over there throwing shit around, and she went over and no one was there. Like everything was in its place. Everything was normal. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this to you before too, but when I talked to Wes about the spirits there, he told me that they did things like leave out offerings for the kids. So people before heard the kid too. It's been like 10 years of people hearing and experiencing the same spirits in that house.
Who lives there now? People still live there?
Oh yeah. One person who lived there when I lived there has been there for, if she was there for 5 years when I moved out, she's been there for like 7 years now. That's who I told you before. I told you before that that's my roommate who, when we were talking about the house being haunted, very like suspiciously, without giving any more detail, was like, there's a reason I picked the middle room, when we were all like super drunk, and never went into more detail as to what that meant.
Do you think she's like harnessing some weird ghost energy in the room or something?
No, I don't think so. It seems like she's like, I don't necessarily agree with like burning of certain things to like clear space, but she burns a lot of things to like clear that space and stuff like that. So,
but even so, it's like, it's not like you're just in the one room all the time. And doesn't it scare you? Like, and doesn't it make you feel stressed out, like with other people in the house who would clearly be stressed out from living in such a haunted house?
In that house, I feel like for the most part, you kind of are in your own room. Other people might be in your room too, but there's no living room there. It's like kitchen, 3 bedrooms, bathroom. Like there's no like hangout space. You still have to go
pee, and the bathroom is like a hot spot. So
yes. I mean, I guess that's why they just always keep the house so full. Like, I don't even know about what happened on the other side of the house where we heard the shit from. I never really got to talk to anyone about that, but everyone on the side I lived on was like, yeah, it's really fucked up. And there were always a bunch of people there. So, like, I guess it's not as scary when you have like 6 or 7 people crammed into a space, but once those people start to go away and the spirits that are there get louder, I think that's when people start to get stressed out about it and like more tense about it. I'm stressed out
thinking about it. I'm stressed.
Well, thank goodness you're not there. You're not
oh my God.
Spooky house.
I could never handle it. I mean, I love a cheap house. Like, I
Yeah.
love a cheap house.
But
I
it's
feel like I'm a
$100
baby.
worth your yeah, I mean, okay,
Was
so
it
yeah, rent was
$100
like
a month?
100. Yes. Yeah.
That's so fucking
Yeah.
cheap.
It was extremely cheap, dude. That I mean, that's why I stayed there for so long.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
it was, I don't know in retrospect if it was worth like the haunting at that time.
I guess you never know until you're out of it. Like, I feel like I look back on so many situations where I wasn't being haunted, but just chilling with super shitty people and living with super shitty people, but like dealt with it for
Yeah.
way long because I just didn't understand it could be better at the time.
Same. I mean, that was my general vibe at that place, but I was just like, well, I can save money by living in this house for really cheap.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I might as well just, I'd rather like be way broker and have more shit together outside of that. So
Less creepy ghosts.
less creepy ghost, yeah. Less
I mean,
weird punk ghosts.
That sounds like it's the most haunted house I've ever heard of anybody I know living in. And it's not you, I've heard it from multiple people that have lived in that house at this point. So
yeah,
fuck that.
It's the most like viscerally haunted house I've ever lived in. I've definitely heard and seen and had all that shit, but to feel like, even my last house before this, there were things there, but they were just kind of like generally passive. It was kind of like a you do your thing, I'll do my thing. None of them was ever like, what are you doing right now? Like, why are you sitting there just watching me? It's fucking weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like in this house it's really just cat ghosts.
Yeah.
And like maybe
that's kind of sweet.
yeah,
it's sad, but it's
I
also
feel
kind
bad
of
for the
cute.
cats. It's cute, but
Yeah,
also I feel
definitely.
like there are more than cat ghosts. But I definitely feel like, you know, because I live on a second floor, so like when you walk up the staircase, there's this whole section of like floor to the really tall ceilings. You know, there's probably like 15 feet of space between like the landing to the ceiling, if not more. So I just feel like up in that corner that you can't get to is there's just ghosts like floating up there, you know,
just hanging out.
just hanging out. But I'm like, that's your area. Like I can't go there. I'm not using it. So whatever.
Right. Maybe they don't get along with the cats, though. Maybe that's why they're up there, because the cats can't get up there. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. And well, back to the dog thing too. I feel like when we see our own dogs, it seems like, which are, you know, dogs are like the most comforting presence, you know? So like if a spirit is taking the shape of your dog, I feel like it just wants to be like, hey.
Well, that's kind of spooky to me. I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah, because it's like, what's your motive? Are you trying to trick me? Are you trying to not scare me? Well, you can't ask them. I mean, you can ask them. I mean, okay, so when's the last time you used a Ouija board?
Very long time.
Same.
Like, okay, so I'll say like maybe in my adult life, I feel like I have. We used to sell them at that store, and I would not do it there because I did not want to deal with those things. But yeah, I don't really do that shit anymore.
No, Ouija boards scare the shit out of me now, but I definitely like fucked around with them when I was like an adolescent to teen.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, what was I doing? And then I'm like, you know, I really don't think anybody was moving the planchette. You know, that's the thing, is everybody's like, oh, somebody's definitely moving it. And I'm like, I don't think I was moving it, you know?
Yeah. No, but totally.
Those things are really scary.
They are, because you know who's phoning in. It could be anybody.
Hello. Yeah, no. We were going to skip that.
I need like spooky caller ID.
Oh my god. That's so funny. Like, whose picture pops up on your spiritual phone? It's me.
It's you calling from the living world.
From the spooky hallway.
Yes. I love this hallway. It reminds me of Silent Hill. I don't know why.
That's a really
Right.
good one.
Are you gonna talk about your mushrooms situation?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so psychedelic experiences and ghosts. I feel like I definitely had one. This one time that I took this mushroom chocolate that was blessed by a shaman, which I don't know what that means, but
Yeah.
that's what I was told. I literally don't know what it means. So I ate those fucking chocolates were strong as shit. Okay, they're very strong, and I ate. You know, I usually just microdose, but I was definitely like dosed. I was dosed.
Yeah.
I was alone, and I was in my house, which I've done a lot of work in my house, not only in terms of like trying to clear stuff out, but also in terms of trying to open stuff up a lot. Like a lot of stuff that I
Yeah.
don't even know what I'm doing because I'm stupid and I'm just fucking around. But like a lot of trying to like open portals kind of work. So, you know, you get what you fucking ask for, I guess. And I was just like
True.
laying in my bed and I was high as shit and I was having really cool visuals, like really indescribable visuals. I tried to describe them last video, but they're really indescribable. But the point is, it was incredibly beautiful and very super visual. Like I was seeing things so much faster than I thought I could even like experience seeing things, you know. It's like I've matrix downloading this
Yeah.
other beautiful like civilization basically that's like being built in front of me while I'm like in this trip, you know, vortex. Then all of a sudden, zoop, it all goes away and there's just like I'm in my bed and there's just like two people in front of me and I don't see them but I just know they're there and they're just like, hey,
Oh
what's up?
no.
And I was just like, what? And to backtrack or to give context, there was this person I had been seeing on Instagram who was just like an Instagram person, but they were posting all these videos of themselves like channeling, speaking in like tongues and all this stuff that was just like so sketchy. And I would never watch the videos because I felt like it was a curse, you know? It's like
Yeah.
they're supposed to be like sharing these like blessings, but I'm just like, baby, that's a curse. Like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So I would never play it. But then when I'm in my bed and these things are talking to me, they're like, you should like message that person and just like talk to them. And it was just really freaky. And then I kind of like snapped out of it and I was like, get out of my brain. Who are you? I didn't say you could come here. And I kind of really had to like pull myself out of this trip. Basically, I had to just snap out of it and like open my
Yeah.
eyes and like run and go turn the lights on while I'm high as shit. So it was like hard to even stand. And, you know, it was really scary. And I just feel like it proved I was right. And that person is like channeling evil messages of control. And like, I just feel like people don't
Damn.
understand, like, they don't understand. They're so excited to be like channeling a message. And she takes, or this person like takes so much clout from it, which is the creepiest part.
Yeah.
They're really just doing it for clout. So they're not really asking where it's coming from or even caring. They're just like, ooh, something's coming to my brain. I'm going to record it and post a video of it on
No,
Instagram.
you
Like,
have to and expose a bunch of other people to it without knowing. That's so fucked.
It just felt like a real kind of vessel of like just somebody is you. It's literally Sailor Moon villains. Like there's no. It's literally that. It's like this is this innocent woman working in a jewelry store. Suddenly, she's controlled by like
They're
these
this
shadowy
fucking
figures.
yeah.
So,
Damn.
I mean, she was possessed, baby. I guess you know.
Do you think this person's still possessed?
I haven't been seeing them online. They were doing a lot of stuff like going to like countries in South America for like spiritual retreats with a bunch of other white people and stuff. And
Yeah.
you know, you
forgot who
get what
this
you
was.
ask
You're gonna-
for. Oh, I'll text you. Oh, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I
after we stop
forgot.
recording. Yeah, it's just not my thing, you know, and I feel like that's why so many people who are like really public. Was that Dieter? What was that?
Was there a bark?
Yeah.
I heard that too. I don't
Wasn't
know.
Dee Dee?
I think so. I heard it too, but I thought it was coming from somewhere else.
Oh God, ghost dogs.
It probably was him. I heard that sound and I thought I have a headphone in so I can't hear super clearly, but
oh right. Well,
he's just like chilling and walking out there.
Anyways,
but, yeah.
what I was saying is people that post like their priests online, it's just not, it just reads weird to me, you know.
It's very odd. Yeah,
some people are genuine, you know, but like and it's when it's like a really like beautiful woman, also like a like very like Eurocentric standards of beauty, beautiful woman. I'm just kind of like, well,
it's for the clout.
It's for the clout, and that's why you're gonna get cursed, baby, and you're gonna get wrinkles really a lot, really young, because you're cursed.
I mean, I worry about like I don't, you know, I have a complicated relationship with like the afterlife, or like spirits when we lose our bodies and things like that. But I'm just like, I would think more about the consequences of that long-term shit, like the effects things like that have on you when you're not like a flesh and bone person anymore, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Worry about those
like, are
things.
you just giving yourself to someone else completely?
Right.
Like all of yourself? Like
exactly.
For likes on the gram?
For likes.
No.
Is there like a ghost Instagram and you're automatically insta-famous as soon as you die if you promise yourself to these ghosts?
Oh my God, that's so funny. The ghost social network. Okay, so here's my next question. Do you have a favorite ghost story or movie?
We talked about the movie thing before. I forgot what I said then, so it's probably different now anyway.
I don't
remember either. I watched so many ghost movies, it's really hard. Oh, I said Ju-on 2, which is still up there for me. That's still pretty high on the list. They are scary, yes. My favorite ghost story as a kid, I read like a lot of like the scary stories to tell in the dark books, and also the like folk tales and myth books that came from the same company. But one of my favorite ghost stories as a kid was always the adventures of like a German student, I think is what it was called, or it's called The Red Ribbon more commonly, about the person who like, with the ribbon around her neck, and then
dude.
Yeah, that's been one of my favorites for a long time.
I was gonna say the same thing. No bullshit.
Damn. Yeah, it's a good one. It's spooky.
It's scary.
It's so spooky.
The twist ending when I was a kid, I was like, oh my God! What's going on? This is sick! Like it was like my first time being M. Night Shyamalan, you know?
Yeah, I think same too. I think that's why I was like, oh my god, he didn't even know. Yeah, that's one of my favorites for sure.
And then I always wanted to like wear a choker because I was like, I'm the fucking dead girl with her head cut off.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just something also, it's what we were just talking about, so eerie about in that story. The person being like, I promise you my eternal soul forever. And then like waking up to this like demon, being like, forever. I tricked
Damn, that's
you.
so true. I
It
didn't
was so
even think about
spooky.
that.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is spooky. Okay, so here's some ghost movies I really like. Like The Others, that movie got me.
I like the others. I
It
haven't
scared the
seen it in
shit out of
so
me.
long.
It's not as scary. It was way scarier when I was a kid. Like I got it on VHS and I watched it while taking a bath one day. And I will definitely say that like the seance scene with the old lady was like it hit way harder when I was a kid for sure.
Yeah. Oh, Ghost Ship. I used to love that. 13 Ghosts was like my favorite ghost movie as a kid, probably, but it scared me. Have you seen it?
No. I feel like
You
I
should. It's like
remember
one
it
of,
though. And now I remember Ghost Ship too, but this is like
they're like
like
the late 90s, early 2000s, like Final Destination esque
right.
style of horror, but ghosts instead. Yeah.
Love it. I love that.
Yeah.
Casper, I was so horny for Devon Sawa when I was a child, like obsessed with Casper.
I think I've never actually seen Casper fully
No.
through. Like, if I watched it as a kid, I probably spaced out so much. I don't know anything that happened in that movie.
Okay, well, it's so good and Christina Ricci's in it. I'm trying to pour this box of
I
wine, but it's
remember
almost
Christina
out.
Ricci. You're fine.
Bloop, 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 bloop. Okay, well,
I like
that
how
movie
it's.
was perfect because it was like both of my crushes. Like, I was obviously in love with Christina Ricci. I was definitely in love with Devon Sawa. And then him like as the ghost and them like dancing and like being in love, I was just like, I want to be both of these people at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, I
It's
don't
so
know.
good.
I feel like like when I was a kid, my mom is a massive, massive horror fanatic and like expressly did not like watching children's movies. So at the age I
Oh,
think most kids were watching Casper, I was already watching like Nightmare on Elm Street and shit like that. Which is
bold.
probably why I'm like very bold. Also like why I was very scared as a kid and stuff like that. But I'm a horror freak now too for
You're
that
like
reason. But
creepypasta queen.
yes, oh my god. My creepy pastas. I love that.
I mean, they're so good.
They
Yeah,
are.
creepypastas are really good. I feel like I read this book when I was like a kid. It was like a Scholastic Book Fair book, and it was like
Uh-huh.
the 13th floor about. Do you
That
remember
sounds
it?
so familiar. Yeah. I for some reason in my head before you said that, I thought the 13th floor, but I can't remember what it was.
And it's like an elevator game type of thing too. I mean, it's not, but it's like this
Damn.
girl is, or this, I don't remember. This character, I don't know why I'm remembering it as a girl. I don't remember it at all. But went up like an elevator and it like gets stuck between the 12th and 14th floors. And I also thought that like
Oh,
no buildings had 13th floors. That's not true. Like
it's not true. No, they still have them.
buildings have 13th floors all the time. So
Yeah.
this book really
Yeah.
made me think that like, oh no, but you just skip it. It's just an empty floor that you just don't have shit on because it's cursed.
That's the thing people say still, like in
That's
general.
stupid as
Like,
shit. Nobody's gonna waste a whole
yeah.
fucking floor of a sky rise for a curse.
Just cause.
That's not how it works.
No, we still need to play the elevator game. Maybe now's the time.
Well, I'll
to get
let
trapped
you know
in a
if
different dimension.
I know. Can we play the elevator game while social distancing? I don't think so. I don't think you can social distance in an elevator. We can just get hazmat
If no
suits.
one's true, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Isn't the best social distance to be completely alone in another dimension? Isn't that the true social distancing?
I mean, yeah. I mean, are we gonna bring Corona to the void?
No, oh my God, no. We're not bringing coronavirus to the new dimension.
I know, we gotta stay quarantined or we're gonna fucking kill all the 0 people in the other dimension from the elevator game.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't actually advise this at all.
We're redacting. Delete. We're not doing
that.
Okay. Have you ever had sex with a ghost / spirit?
No, I haven't. I've heard a lot of people talk about it before. I know, you told me.
I'm like, that's why I put this question on here. Well, I was wondering if you did too, obviously. Like,
no, I have not. I used to want to really badly and try to, but it has not been successful. Okay, so
I did it on accident.
How did that go?
It was awesome. I guess I don't remember how I got there, but I remember I was in my room. I don't want to be too graphic because I just don't want to be that personal about my sex stuff on my TV show.
Yeah.
So how do I tell this super sexual story without... okay, let's see. So somehow I got into a situation where I had sex with a spirit. I just have to be that vague because when you're telling a sex story, it's like the second you get into details, it's just like a little...
It's just down. It's a slippery slope.
But the coolest thing about it was right before it happened, I had lit a bunch of the same taper candles around my room, and my bed was kind of set up in front of a mirror. And I have a lot of feelings about mirrors too. I feel like I need to do a whole episode on mirrors, and maybe you'll want to do that with me too. I don't know if you have strong feelings about
I feel like we have I do, but I feel like we have completely opposing strong feelings about mirrors.
Can't wait for the debate. So I had my bed set up in front of this mirror, and between me and the mirror was one set of 3 tapered candles, and then around the room in a couple other spots there were tapered candles. And after my sexual experience with the spirit, all the candles that were between my bed and the mirror were completely burned down, and none of the other candles were barely burned at all.
Damn.
Right?
You summoned the sex ghost. You summoned that sex ghost.
Well, what I really think it was Taurus.
Was what?
Taurus.
Ah, gotcha.
Because it was a bull human. And I have so many complicated relationships with Tauruses specifically. I just feel like it's part of my, part of my existence is this struggle with Taurus and this.
That's a common Sagittarian experience.
Oh, really?
Actually. Yeah, I have that issue. I know a good few other Sages that are I don't know what it is with fucking Tauruses, and having a weird bond but also hating them simultaneously, not wanting this bond but somehow being but it's so good. Oh
my God, I feel so called out right now. And the craziest thing is 3 of them have the same fucking birthday.
It's so odd.
2 of them in the same year.
That's fucking weird.
Is it though? Is it though? Or is it totally fucking makes sense and is logical?
It actually does. It actually does make sense, yes.
Astrology is the best and worst.
We should do an astrology episode.
Yeah, we definitely
I
should.
feel like you should I feel like you would need to do that with like an actual astrologer.
I was actually thinking about doing it with my dad because my dad knows a shitload about astrology, like
Damn.
more than like when my dad was visiting me recently, he was like, "Oh, it's all about the horizon line, really, and like you got to really pull up the circle thing." And I was just
goodness.
like, "This is so weird," but he was just like a hippie, just like a weird like satanic hippie, basically. So. Anyways, I digress. Future episode topics for sure, but I don't know if I want to have my dad on my TV show. So,
yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like giving ghost advice?
Sure. Like on how to deal with ghosts?
Sure. Any sort of practical tricks of the trade that I might do a little segment on like easy ways to DIY ghosts out of your house, but if you have anything, I'm interested. I know I have my own techniques.
I would say, one, don't make them leave unless they are being disruptive to your life. Like, I think like out of respect, because they've obviously been there for longer, like unless they are really fucking things up for you, just let them chill out. Just whatever. Two, do not contact random spirits you don't know. And if you're planning to do any spirit contact, make sure you have like, depending on your culture or like spiritual background, whatever, make sure you have whatever protective measures in place to contact those specific spirits you were trying to contact. If you were like just starting out in practice, don't immediately like do mediumship. Like probably, unless it's something that comes to you naturally, if you're just trying to like, like stunt on people with your ability to contact spirits, probably not a good move. Just like chill out, contact who you need to contact for whatever reason. Like we talked about, I feel like if you have a good relationship with dreams, that is a good realm in which to do those things. Yeah. Set boundaries, which is one that I think freaks people out because they don't want to be disrespectful, but like allow spirits that are not harmful to stay around you. But also set boundaries with them and be like, we can cohabitate. I'm not trying to make things weird for you or fuck anything up for you, but these are the ways in which I need to operate, and I'd appreciate it if you didn't do these things, Yeah, I feel like that's it.
Treat them like people, really. That's
they are people just
without
in a different
bodies.
Literally, yeah.
I wish I was a person without a body.
I feel that way too. Do you think that they can shapeshift? I've wondered that. Is that a disrespectful question?
No.
For them?
But
I've always wondered.
I would feel like, yeah, but I don't know.
Real, yeah. Questions for the spirits.
Okay, I guess my final question, which you could definitely not even have an answer for, but if you could choose like one person to haunt you, who would it be? Like a celebrity, not like a real person. Like one celebrity. Yeah, let's not get too real.
It's gonna be real for a second.
I know what your answer would be, so we're gonna keep it to celebrities.
A celebrity to haunt me. Maybe God, let me think about it.
I know this was
give me like.
Okay, I'll see if I can think of one first. I feel like this is gonna be so corny and stupid, but like I feel like having like Miles Davis ghost would be cool because he just has the best music, Maybe he'd just be like that
would be sick. If not like a cool musician, this might be kind of no, I don't want that. I take it back. maybe this is weird. Maybe like Daniel Johnston. He seems like he'd be a sweet ghost to have haunt you.
Yeah, I
feel
feel
like
like
he'd
he'd be
just like
the most benevolent ghost.
he'd just like draw pictures of ducks with you and sing you sweet songs. Like I'm
If
down with
if he was
that.
your ghost and you got one of those little toy organs, and maybe he could haunt the organ and like play you
And we could
songs
make
all the
music.
time. Yeah.
Yes,
I
that'd be
actually got
so
to see
cute.
him in concert one time, and it was awesome.
Damn, that's so sick.
He was just fucking stoked to be playing music
Yeah,
and that people were into his music. I mean, that's the vibe, you know? Like
yeah,
he just never, I feel like to him playing a show to 200 people, I mean, there was way more than that at this show, but like it just made him feel like a star, you know? And like you don't need to be
yeah,
playing to fucking stadiums and having a million, whatevers to be a true star. Daniel Johnson,
yeah.
star.
He is a true star and like just always seemed really sweet and like appreciative of like having people there to support him or like
Yes.
people being in like you're saying people being into what he fucking did.
And
Yeah, I would
he's
love
so
I would
talented.
yeah, seriously.
And what
I
better
feel like yeah,
ghost to
we
have
just
than somebody who's gonna just like play you little bops?
exactly. I imagine like walking into the house and as a greeting him like playing a little melody. It'd be
Aww,
super sweet.
that
Yeah.
would be
I'd
really
leave him like
sweet.
we'd have breakfast together. I'd put out like a little snack plate for him, you know. It'd be cute.
That's wholesome.
Yeah.
Prayers up for my man Daniel Johnston and also Miles Davis. Love those guys.
Also Miles Davis, yeah.
Love those guys. Any final thoughts about ghosts before I end this recording of our iconic ghost show? Part 1 of a million, I bet.
I think you said it best. They're just people without bodies. I think that sums it all up, you know. That's it.
We love those guys. All right, you want to touch
We love them.
hands? Touch hands on the
Yeah.
video. Meow.